We live in a day and age where stranger danger is a real thing. As a parent, it's my job to help teach my kids how to stay safe. In this video, I'm going to be sharing my top 5 safety awareness tips right after this. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Shayla and I'm the creator of JunkDrawerMom. I believe that hiding is overrated, so on this channel we talk about everything motherhood from practical to personal, so if you're new here, consider subscribing before you go. Today I'm bringing you a practical video, and that is on how to keep your kids safe. Listen, folks are crazy out here, so I'm trying to do all that I can to educate my kids on how to stay safe and to navigate people that they don't know. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to remind you that links and show notes are in the description box below, so feel free to check those out at any point during this video. Now, I grew up a very sheltered child. I'll just leave it at that. We live in the Washington, D.C. area, and there are tons of people here. And you're always hearing stories about kids being snatched or abused or police brutality or stuff happening in schools. Things happen everywhere. And so with my oldest child, Josiah, being 6, he's going on 7, even though he's homeschooled, there are things that I really should have already started teaching him, but that we're getting ready to start teaching him. So I wanted to share these things with you guys. The age-old saying is, don't talk to strangers. Well, the issue that I find with that is we're introducing our kids to people all the time, whether they come through church or people from work or wherever. They're meeting new people constantly, friends of family and things like that. So I find an issue with saying don't talk to strangers, because the definition of a stranger is fluid. A friend of mine sent an article to me, this was probably like 3 years ago now, about a woman who almost experienced her children being abducted, but because they had had some previous conversations, they were able to avert that sort of tragedy. Now all of the information is documented on a website called Safely Ever After, and they provide tips for child safety. The biggest thing that I took away from that was to stop calling people strangers. Instead of calling them strangers, the term that they use is calling them a tricky person. Now, to me, that makes much more sense, because a tricky person could be anybody. Doesn't matter what they look like. It's not, based on what they wear or, what they look like, but it could be a mailman, it could be a grocery store worker, it could be a family member, somebody that tries to trick you into doing something that that you're not supposed to do. That is somebody that is dangerous. Here are my top 5 tips, and these are inspired or come from this article that I read. Number 1 is spend time with your child. A recent study from the Bureau of Labor Statistics showed that the average time spent with a child from the ages of 6 to 12 by parents is only 1 hour a day. 1 hour? Are you kidding me? That's crazy, and I know it's difficult for those of us who work, or kids that have extracurricular activities, but that's not cool. We have to change that narrative. Spending time with your kids is extremely important. You get to know them, you get to know their likes and their dislikes, what makes them uncomfortable, their hobbies, and then also it helps to develop a relationship with them. Number 2 would be to listen to your child. So once you start spending time with them, it's not enough to just be in the house all together, but to get them to talk, to get them to have conversation. And as you listen to them, or if they start saying certain things like, oh, I don't want to go to this place or that place or to this person's house, there might be some red flags that you can identify based on just listening to them and having that one-on-one conversation with your kids. And the more that you talk to them, the more that you develop a relationship with them, and if something really is bothering them or makes them uncomfortable, then they probably will be more likely to come to you and talk to you about it. Number 3, we have about 5 family rules in our house, and one of them is no secrets. So if we've told our kids, if somebody tries to tell you like, I'll do this but you can't tell mommy and daddy, big no-no. That's a tricky person. Anybody that tries to tell you to keep something away from mommy or daddy is a tricky person and cannot be trusted, and you need to tell mommy and daddy right away. Now, one thing that we try to do is always encourage our kids and let them know, like, if you come to us, like, do not be afraid that you're going to get in trouble. You've done nothing wrong. It's always okay to come and talk to us about stuff. Number 4 is get to know the parents of your kids' friends. Now, I don't know when this stopped happening, but I know my kids, it was like, if I wanted to go somewhere, it was like, who's that? Who are their parents? Who are their siblings? Where are you going? What time are you going to be back? Like, I need to meet them first. And like, that's just how I grew up. And so I carry it the same way. You know, our kids just don't go, I know they're still young, but either way, they don't just go somewhere with somebody that I don't know who they are. I don't know their character or anything like that. And even with family, I don't know the people that come to your house. So I need to be fully convinced that my child will be safe before I let them go anywhere without me. And lastly, number 5 is don't force hugs and kisses. Now, I know this one is kind of like, you know, I don't know, it's kind of awkward. Like, you see a family member or whatever, and it's like, you know, go give them a hug, and they're like, no, I don't want to, and it makes the other person feel uncomfortable, and then it's like, no, you have to give them a hug. But, you know, I think it's important to note that children are people too. And so they have opinions, they have feelings. Like, I wouldn't want to be forced to hug or kiss somebody that I don't know like that, you know? So it's the same, and like just allowing them and teaching them that they can have autonomy over their body as well, even at a young age. I mean, I think it's really important to instill that in your kids. And I know that when I was young, my father didn't allow me to sit on other people's laps. It just wasn't a thing that we did. He was like, no, we're not gonna do that. Allowing your children to choose who they would like to hug or kiss or whatever doesn't have to make them rude. You can still teach them to say no politely, whatever that looks like for you and your family. There's no need to be rude about it. And so now it's time for the bonus tip. Now, this one wasn't on Safely Ever After, but I've heard it a lot, especially recently. One thing to do is to actually teach your children the proper names for their body parts. So it is a penis and it is a vagina. And some of y'all are probably giggling, but it doesn't matter, okay? Those are the proper terms. And the reason why is because they need to know what they're called. And so if they come home and they're calling it something else, you know they got that from somebody that wasn't you. If something, God forbid, were to ever happen and they had to testify in court, then they could clearly articulate what actually happened to them. They got touched in this whatever location. And I think that's really important just for your kids to be educated. And they're not shameful words. They are body parts. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying penis and vagina. So, question of the day. What do you do to help bring safety awareness to your child? So, question of the day. What do you do to bring safety awareness to your child? Let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. And you never know what tip you give in the comment section could help save another child's life. As always, I'm bringing you practical and personal tips, products, and stories from moms just like you. Don't forget, hiding is overrated, and I'll see you next time.